Hello everybody and welcome back to my sunroom here in East Tennessee on this beautiful but cold February day. I know that the groundhog predicted that winter is just going to keep going for the next 6 weeks, but I'm hoping that he's wrong. I hope that we have an early spring this year. I think that every grower loves an early spring. So I'm hoping that the temperatures warm up. I believe that they are supposed to warm up here in East Tennessee next week. Thank goodness, that's a good sign. And I wanted to share some thoughts and some tips about caring for your Thanksgiving cacti during the month of February. Mine are reblooming, as you see. Big Red is just so beautiful right now. And what I'm doing with them this month is I'm keeping up my regular watering schedule. I'm watering them twice a week, and of course, you don't let the water set in the dish. So I'm making sure that I drain that water off well. I'm keeping them moist, not really what you would call wet. And how I do that is I water them, and then I come back in about 5 or 10 minutes, and if there's a little bit of water left in the tray, then I know that I've watered them the right amount, and then I drain that off. So I water them twice a week with just a little bit of CalMag at this point. I believe that between the first and second bloom cycles of my Thanksgiving cacti, that they do benefit from a little bit of CalMag, just about 50 parts per million. It gives them a little bit of extra oomph for that next bloom cycle. It makes the blooms beautiful. It keeps the plant nice and green and lush and healthy. You all noticed that blast of humid air that was going across your screen just a second ago. That's because I have my humidifier going back in my sunroom, and I have it between 40 to 45% humidity back here. And that really helps prolong the life of your blooms. You will find that they just bloom longer, that the blooms themselves last longer when you have that extra humidity. I'm keeping my sunroom at about 68 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit during the day. That cooler temperature really helps the blooms to last longer as well. My channel is sponsored by the Orchid Supply Store, and my Thanksgiving cacti are growing in the Professional Blend Glacier Gold, the Small Orchiata Bark, and the Perlite from the Orchid Supply Store. I use 3 parts of the Glacier Gold to 1 part Small Orchiata Bark and 1 part Perlite. That kind of lightens the mix and keeps everything just light and airy. And Snow White, that I'm getting ready to show you here in just a minute, is growing in a 9-inch orchid pot with the holes on the bottom. That promotes good drainage, and that's really important when you're growing your Thanksgiving and your Christmas cacti, because they don't like to be left setting in water. I'll place a link in the description box below to the Orchid Supply Store, and also when you place your order, don't forget to use my coupon code Amy for a 12% viewer's discount. And look at the beautiful blooms on Snow White. This is the best bloom cycle she has ever had. She really likes being in front of these glass doors in my sunroom, and she is just gorgeous. I'm wondering if the blooms are going to turn that light pink like they did around Thanksgiving. That's going to be fun to watch. But she's sitting here in front of these glass doors, and as you see, this helps her to rebloom. Enough light this time of the year will help your Thanksgiving cacti to rebloom for you. And I also want to shed some light on a mystery that I've had about Big Red ever since I've had him. Everyone asks me, is Big Red is he 100 years old or something? No, Big Red is just about 8 years old, and he came just from a small little branch, believe it or not. Snow White here, I've had her for 7 years, and you can just see the difference in the plants that you see in size mainly is this one was growing in my house in not as much sunlight as Big Red. And you see what a difference light makes. So I was reading an article about Thanksgiving and Christmas cacti the other day. And do you see how this bloom, it points down? And do you see how the leaves, these are clades, they're actually pointy, they're claw-like. Okay, that is a typical Thanksgiving cactus. I want to show you something about Big Red that is very unusual. You know how I have debated back and forth about Big Red. Is he a Thanksgiving cactus? Is he a Christmas cactus? What is he? Because as you see, the blooms are the same as the Thanksgiving cactus, snow white, that I just showed you. They hang down from the clade like this, but look at the scalloped leaf. That is like a Christmas cactus. I was reading an article the other day that said that there are hybrids of Thanksgiving and Christmas cacti that have the characteristics of both parent plants. So I believe that from the article I read, I believe that Big Red is a hybrid between a Thanksgiving and a Christmas cactus, because these clades are definitely not claw-like. They're like a Christmas cactus, but I believe that the blooms are more like a Thanksgiving cactus. So I believe he has a hybrid. So I've heard from many of you that you have a similar plant, and I believe that that's the answer. I think that that has solved the mystery. It is a hybrid between the two cacti. And several of you have asked me what kind of a pot Big Red is growing in. This is a huge 16-inch pot that I bought at a garden center. Big Red is too big to fit in an orchid pot. They don't make orchid pots in 16-inch sizes. So this is a nursery pot, a decorative pot that I found. It had plenty of drainage holes in the bottom. That's very, very important when you're choosing a pot for your Thanksgiving cactus. So I repotted him back in the summer, and he's done, as you see, he's done very well. Another question that pops up on my channel pretty often is, when do you start fertilizing them again? I start fertilizing them about April, when I start seeing new growth on the plant. Right now, there's no reason to give them any fertilizer. As a matter of fact, it kind of confuses them. And I used it one year while they were blooming, and the blooms didn't last as long on the plant, let's just say that. So I learned not to fertilize while they're blooming. A question from my friend Rianne. She said, my Thanksgiving cactus blooms slightly differently in color from year to year. Does yours ever do that? Yes, Big Red has done that this year. Normally his blooms are more of a red-orange, and this year they are scarlet, and they have a little bit more white at the throat of the bloom, which I find just beautiful. So yes, they can differ in color. I believe that that might be just the difference that they get in light, and as you all know, I have him on an LED light. I actually need to add another LED light to the back of this plant, I've learned, because I don't think I'm going to be able to move him back in front of my glass doors. He's too big, and we can't open the glass doors when he's over there. But I believe that I need to add a little bit more LED lighting, but we'll see. I'm gonna tweak it a little bit and see if when I turn the plant after these blooms fade, I'm wondering if I turn the plant very, very gently, if maybe the other side will bloom out again. I don't know. The other thing about the other side of the plant is the opposite side of this plant is what bloomed so profusely at Thanksgiving. So I'm wondering if that's just all the blooms that side of the plant is going to produce. We're going to wait and see, and I will keep you all posted on that. Okay, let me back up and explain. Do you see how this side of the plant is just like blooming big time? The back side of the plant is green. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm thinking that after these have fallen off, after these have bloomed and fallen off, I'm going to try to turn the plant very carefully and see if the other side of the plant will bloom out again. I'm going to give it a try. So let me make sure that I gave you all the tips that I was going to go over today. Okay, watering. I'm watering them twice a week. Don't let the water sit in the dish. Now, if you are somewhere where it's a lot colder than here in Tennessee, you might not have to water quite as much or as often as I do here. And if you live in a warmer place than me, you might see that they're taking up more water. So just check on your plant and adjust according to your environment. I add a little bit of CalMag, that's about 50 parts per million, no fertilizer, and bright indirect light really does help them to rebloom. Oh, and also humidity between 40 to 45%. And also my sunroom, I told you it's about 68 to 70 degrees back here. That's perfect for them to bloom in. And I hope this video has helped you all. I received so many awesome comments from you all about your Thanksgiving cacti. I'm so glad that you all are having success with them. These are just wonderful plants to grow. And thank you all for all your awesome comments. You are such a blessing to me. You're my orchid and Thanksgiving cactus family. Yes. So before I end the video, I would love to say the blessing over you, your families, and your plants. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face towards you and give you his peace. You all make it a great day, and we will talk to you next time.